the Rosemont horizon, home of the Chicago Sting and DePaul. This is a 1979 Ford Bronco, and Margo, they make one revolution and go over the cars.
He is a Ford man to the bone. His biggest drawback tonight, that motor is brand spanking new. Blew up his engine 3 weeks ago, and this one is still super tight. He's going to baby it. He told me that earlier.
Over 300 pieces of chrome, more chrome than Sammy Davis Jr.'s driveway. Here we go, showtime. Brian Shell out of Detroit. He's got to make a left-hander. The rear wheel steering also over a little segment of dirt, and here he comes up in the cars. And hits him slowly, crawls up over the first 2, 3, and comes down very slowly on the other side. A slow run of those cars, Margo.
Well, when you compare this to the runs we'll see a little bit later on, you'll see that he's taking care of that motor. It's called longevity.
And he makes it through to the checkered flag. And that's it for showtime. We'll get a clocking on him, the Detroit, Michigan Ford man. Let's take a look back at it now. Hits the first car, slows him way down, Margo. Comes up, drops the second one, collapses the rub. The first machines have a disadvantage. The door opens, the door goes right, bent over. The first cars, monster trucks, have a disadvantage because the machines, the cars have not been flattened. The time for showtime, Margo? 31:15 for showtime. Relatively slow, I think we'll find. And we go now to Kodiak out of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And I think that's the right pronunciation. This is a 1987 GMC Sierra Classic, a Chevy, with a big 496 cubic inch Chevy engine.
At 24 years old, Mark got involved in the sport right out of high school. And this is what he does for a living. Although he says he did work a real job when he was trying to make money to build that truck.
He's on the road 38 weeks out of the year. Kodiak out of Wisconsin. Here he goes. Mark Bendler, the driver. And he gets off the line, spewing up chunks of mud. Spins around the beginning of that mud bog. The starting line. Here comes up the cars. Comes up, gets the front wheels up, and he's over on the side. And stops momentarily. And then goes over all the cars. And now he's got to make him time. He's slowed down the middle. The rear wheel steering. You get a good shot at it there. Comes back around, puts the pedal to the metal, and flies through. Kodiak out of Wisconsin. 1987 GMC Sierra Classic. Mako, the paint job. Beautiful silver and blue paint job. And the clocking. As we look back at it as he comes up on the cars. Now watch him veer way over to the left in just a second, and almost going over. Look at that, Margo King.
Rubs up against that dirt. Maybe the mud bog helped him keep in line a little bit. Had to have been a little scary at that point.
I'm telling you, when you're up that high, 15 feet in the air, the time, 26:38 for Kodiak. 5 seconds faster than showtime.
Must have made up some time on that turn because the rest of the track he took in style.
Yep, but now the cars are flat. Let's see now as we go to the third vehicle of the night, the monster trucks. This is the Crimson Crusher. They've had some problems, Margo, getting here.
4 weeks ago, he flipped end over end. Because 4 weeks ago, that was a 1979 body on that truck. Today, it's a 1988 fleet-side Ford long bed.
It's running a 460 cubic inch Ford engine, C6 automatic transmission. It's almost a little over 11.5 feet high. 16,000 pounds. The Crimson Crusher. Dale and Brenda Hancock of Evansville, Indiana. Dale is the driver.
He's real proud of the fact he's the only vehicle on the circuit that runs airbag suspension as opposed to the leaf springs. And take a look at that tire situation.
4 8 tires, actually. 2, 4, 6, 8 all the way around. It's a dually on front rear of the tires. Here he comes around. The Crimson Crusher sets up for the car. And he gets airborne and slams down, almost goes into the mud. Almost drops over that mud box and comes up the turn a little bit faster earlier than Kodiak. Heading out for the finish line. He said he used to be a mud bogger, but he got tired of washing the mud off. He almost found himself in the mud right there. Crimson Crusher gets through. Looks like a pretty good run to us. Let's take a look back at it now. The clocking as he comes up to the first car. And I'll watch him again. He veers off to the left. Holy Toledo! Straight up and down and slams down and almost finds himself on his head in the mud. And the clocking for the Crimson Crusher, 23:28. As the times drop here at the Rosemont horizon. This is the Virginia Beach Beast. It is the first original full-wheel drive monster truck tank. And that's Mike Katz there in the driver's seat. He is setting up the treads right now. Take a look at the hands. It's a 1942 M4 military tank, 18-ton originally. It weighs now about 11.5 tons because they've welded on a 1977 Chevy Blazer body. This is a machine you had a chance to ride in, Margot.
Now, and it was exciting too. We've all got to be envious of a guy that can make a living doing something that he loves and is so much fun. Gave up a job for the state of Virginia to go make a living driving this monster tank truck.
So here we go, World War II tank with a Chevy Blazer body on it. He spins around and heads for the cars. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to blow you away. Holy Toledo, he flashes up. He don't waste no time. He flies around the left-hander, and with the stars and stripes screaming in the background, flashes across the finish line. That tank will do 60 miles an hour on the highway. And the crowd loves it here at the Rosemont Horizon, just outside Chicago. They love it. Here it is again. Let's take a look at it now. He is making mincemeat out of those cars. Look at him, flatten them down. And the clocking for the Virginia Beach Beast, 20.38 seconds. He beat by almost 3 seconds the Crimson Crusher. This is the Lone Eagle out of Millington, Michigan. Alan Hezzo, the driver and owner. It is a 1984 Chevy with a 468 cubic inch Chevy engine in it.
Alan's only 19 years old. He told us earlier that he majored in monster trucks in high school. He had a little trouble with his spark plugs earlier. Maybe he's got his truck running better now.
The Lone Eagle comes up and around and heads for the cars. Now remember, they've been flattened by the tank and by the other monster trucks. It should be easier for him. He gets all 4 wheels in the air, however. Throws them over to the left and makes his way through. I think he might have a good run. Whoa! Ground shakes here, about a 6 on the Richter scale. As Allen flashes across that finish line.
When we asked him how much his truck was worth, he said, Fort Knox.
Here it is, a look in slow motion. Comes up on it, watch him get all the way up in the air, straight up and down. All 4 wheels off the ground at once. You don't see that very often, but not a real fast clocking, according to our statistician, Cindy, 25.37 seconds. We'll be right back for more exciting mud bog and monster truck madness in just a moment. On Horizon, Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action for you. This is Gator out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. George Cole, the owner. Again, this is a Chevy body on a military tank, a World War II military tank. They say it's worth about $100,000. We had a chance to talk to him earlier.
Always a crowd favorite at the monster truck events are the tank trucks. With me is George Spanky Cole, owner and driver of the Gator tank truck. George, what possessed you to build this thing?
Well, it goes like this. Mom and Dad have football, baseball, and drag racing, and the kids out there have monster trucks. Every kid out there loves a monster truck.
What makes your monster truck unique?
Well, it was named after the toughest critter of the swamp, which happens to be the alligator.
Well, that tough critter's gonna have to go up against the Virginia Beach Beast today.
And here we go. Let's see what the Gator can do. Beautiful, beautiful machine, Margot King.
And such a nice guy. I love the way he does this for the kids, first and foremost.
Said he named it after the toughest critter in the swamp, the Gator. Oh! He gets up in the air and slams down to that third car. Heads around through the mud, and look at him spew up the mud. And coming around now, heading for the finish line as some of the mechanics run for cover. And he gets across the line beautifully.
You can tell he grew up in marshlands, the way he can handle that truck.
Yep, no question about that. That's the Gator, or the clocking for the Gator, 22.68 seconds, second fastest, second only to the Virginia Beach Beast. The crowd here right outside Chicago loves it. Look at him go up in the air and slam back down. 11 tons, ladies and gentlemen, slamming down on those. That's American Detroit iron.
And you can't rule out those tank trucks flipping over either. 11 tons on top of you is not a happy thought.
That would be mighty, mighty scary. Coming up now, this is Heartbeat out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Brett Engelman. He owns the Great Lakes four-wheel drive shop and been racing for 3 years. We had a chance to talk to him earlier.
The newest Chevy truck on the monster truck circuit is brought here today by owner-operator Brett Engelman. Exactly how new is this truck, Brett?
Margot, it's a brand new 1988 Chevrolet. Finished it about 4 weeks ago.
Now, the suspension looks a little different than the competition's.
Yes, it is. It's a custom-built suspension designed by a computer. The rear ends are located in the truck with the ladder bars only, allowing the truck to float through the, on a landing to cause a much smoother landing.
Now, is that going to make a difference against the Ford competition?
Yes, it is. We built the Chevy truck to destroy the Ford competition.
Well, the battle goes on between Chevy and Ford.
It's a 1988 Chevy Silverado, Margot.
And it is one of the flashiest trucks on the circuit. Look at that undercarriage there. He's got the only floating suspension out here. He runs the 43-inch wheels, and he feels that that combination gives him the most sophisticated high-tech suspension that plays to his advantage.
Well, I'm telling you, it's loud, folks. This is Heartbeat out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. A Chevy, a big 1988 Chevy Silverado. Let's see what he does in the cars. The flash bulbs go off as he gets airborne and gets sideways. Whoa! Holy Toledo! All four wheels off the ground, heading for the finish line. He stops. Has some kind of a problem there, Margo. That's going to cost him a couple seconds, at least a second and a half.
I'm wondering how he got his lights turned off on right after he jumped the cars.
Heartbeat, Michigan. He waves to the crowd, takes the accolades of the crowd, 24.34 seconds. I believe that is just about fourth fastest. We look back at it.
Look, his headlights look off at that point. Gets great air, and let's see how that suspension absorbs the shock. Pretty good. Just bounces. Yeah, looks like a cushy ride, huh?
Real cushy ride, and the crowd loves it.
And then he turns his headlights on. How did he think to do that?
Don't go away. We'll be right back for more action from the Rosemont horizon. Truck Madness, and this is round 2, and this is Showtime. That was 7th fastest, 31.15 seconds. The first truck out in the first round, he had some problems, Margo, and I think maybe it may be a little easier for him now.
You bet. The more time he gets on that motor, the more time it gets to get up to temperature, cool back down just a little bit, loosens it up.
And also the cars have been flattened quite a bit by the other cars and killer tanks. Here we go, Showtime out of Detroit, Michigan.
Beautiful truck, a lot of chrome, flashy act.
Yep. Here he comes up on it. He slowed down early. Let's see what he does. He gets up and slams into him, goes over to the left, stops, almost stops. Now he's on the gas and gets off him and comes back around again. I think possibly Brian needs a little more time in that truck. Gets on the gas. All sold out crowd here at the Rosemont horizon. Showtime across the line. A little bit faster than his first run, but I don't think he's in the money.
Some of the guys are having trouble with that rear steering because of the coldness.
Look again at it. Here's the problem. He gets up there in the air and then starts to veer over to the left, and that's where he kind of hesitates, right there. See? Both the left wheels are off the cars completely. Now he gets straightened back up again and comes across. We'll get the clocking. Actually slower than before, 31.25 seconds for the Showtime 4. This is Kodiak out of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Mark Blendler, the owner-driver. An 87 GMC Sierra Classic monster truck.
He may make his living by driving a monster truck now, but he said he did a lot of welding to make that money to pay for that thing, and even got a loan from the bank.
He comes over it like he is not taking prisoners. Well, I'm telling you, this guy is on the gas. Comes right around, up against, almost kisses the wall, spins around, and now puts the pedal to the metal.
He definitely took the long way around that far in turn.
Boy, he got up in the mud also, and that could be a problem.
I think he decided to take a shortcut because he took the long cut earlier.
Crowd likes it anyway. Kodiak out of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And the clocking, 23:16. 23.16 seconds for the Kodiak there.
Shave some flags off of your time.
Here's a look back at it. Gets straight up and down. You can see the flash bulbs go off. The crowd loves this. They come out to see these monster trucks and look at them flatten the cars. Bouncing up and down like a basketball.
He likes to run those shorter tires, too. You can run less air in them, get better traction, and it worked.
This is the Crimson Crusher monster truck. Dale and Brenda Hancock out of Evansville, Indiana. And Brenda says Dale was nuts for putting so much into the vehicle. He begged, borrowed, and stole to get the initial $50,000 to get this monster truck off the ground.
And this is a family effort. 3 months ago, Brenda had her second child while they were on the road with the truck.
Look at those wheels. 8 wheels and tires on the Crimson Crusher. It's a 1988 Fleetside Ford long bed Ford pickup. And here he comes up on the cars. Up in the air. Bouncing. Wham, bam. Look out. And comes back around. Dale and Hancock doing the driving, gets over the mud, a little bit sideways, now heads for the finish line. Not a bad run, Margot King, for the Crimson Crusher.
Stability is given to the run when you have those big wide wheels. They really work for him.
Let's take a look back at it in slow motion. And he is wide. Look at how wide that machine is. All 8 wheels off the ground, in the air, bounces again, watches when it comes back up off the ground, bounces again. 22.09 for the Crimson Crusher. First place. The Lone Eagle, Alan Pizzo of Millington, Michigan, an 84 Chevy Silverado.
He's 19 years old, making him the youngest man on the circuit right now. His biggest complaint is he's just not home enough. Says he majored in monster trucks in high school.
Well, let's see what he can do as he comes across the end of the mud bog, sets up for the trucks of the cars. The Lone Eagle, here he goes. Whoa! Look at him get in the air and bounce and almost go over to the left. And on his side, that could shake you up. That could shake up your ancestors.
Or preventing you from having any more ancestors.
Right, or relatives. Gets on the gas. Heads across that line. The Lone Eagle, Millington, Michigan. Here's a look at it. 11.5 feet high. Another look at. Up in the air. All 4 wheels completely off the ground. 26.88. 26.88 seconds for the Lone Eagle. From Lake Charles, Louisiana, 1977 Chevy on an M4 military tank, weighing 11 tons. Named after the toughest critter in the swamp, the Gator. Top speed is 60 miles an hour on the road, believe it or not. And here we go in the cars. Let's see what the Gator can do. He goes up, slam, bam, watch out, and crushes him down to just a couple of feet off the ground. And come around now. The final turn and heading for the finish line, the Gator.
And his truck is deceiving. The motor is in the rear. The drive axle is in the front. It's just like a truck turned around on top of those tracks.
Here's a look back at the Gator, gobbling up the cars. Oh, whoa. The clocking, 21.31 seconds. 31-year-old Brett Engelman out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is the builder and owner of Heartbeat. Owns the Great Lakes 4-Wheel Drive Center. It's an 88 Chevy Silverado from the Chevy advertising slogan, the Heartbeat of America. 468 fully blown Chevy engine. He's got the horsepower. Let's see if he's got the talent to put it over those cars.
Because he's immersed in the 4-wheel drive industry, he's probably applied more high-tech technology to his truck than any of the other drivers with that floating suspension, and you can see how he floats over those cars with that.
Literally floats over them. Comes around through the mud, and now to the finish line, the Heartbeat of Grand Rapids, Michigan. The clocking 24.75 seconds for Heartbeat. Here it is. Let's look at him now as he comes up. Watch the suspension. Watch the bouncing. Boy, he bounces. Look at that. Look at that. Comes back around. That slows him down. That's what cost him a couple seconds right there. Getting set up back on the ground. 24.75. We'll be right back for more exciting mud bog and monster truck madness in just a moment. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the grudge match between the Crimson Crusher monster truck and the Virginia Beach Beast, the killer tank. And Dale Hancock, the driver owner of this machine, who turned a 22.09, says, I'm going to smoke the tank. Let's see what he can do. Now, Margot, they don't like going over the cars after they've been crushed.
And remember, this guy's got to be a little gun-shy. 4 weeks ago, he hit a jump too hard and end over end and demolished his 1979 truck.
He slows down, way down. That's going to cost him some time. They don't like going over the cars after they've been crushed in the tanks because there are a lot of sharp edges that can wreak havoc with those tires. Crimson Crusher recovers, comes across the line. Let's get the clocking on him as we look back at how he went over and try to figure out what happened to him as he went over those cars. The clocking, 23 seconds flat. Let's see what happened. A good launch, all 8 wheels off the ground. Bounces again, gets up a little sideways, and here's where he stops. Look at this. He stops completely for just a second and then takes off again.
He said his rear steering was acting real sluggish due to the oil he felt in the drivetrain being a little cold.
The Virginia Beach Beast comes up to the line now. He's got to beat 23 seconds of the Crimson Crusher in this grudge match between the monster truck and the killer tank. Mike Katz, a lot of experience out there, Margot King.
He's been doing this for 2 years, literally grew up with William Towns, the gentleman who originally designed this very first and original full-wheel drive monster tank truck.
They wave the flag off, and as soon as he starts, that's when the clock starts. Oh, he comes all the way around. Well, he recovers very well. And here he comes up with the cars. There he is. Whoa, and the pieces of plastic and sheet metal fly up in the air as he comes around again. An almost perfect run for young Michael Katz.
Perfect and explosive.
Very explosive. He's going all the way around and spins again. He's going to go over him again. Look at this. Look at this kid. Wham, bam, look out. And the clocking for Katz, 20.47 seconds. Look at the response. Look when he backs up over the cars. He kind of rubs it in the drivers' faces, the monster trucks, and says, look what I'm doing, you guys. He takes the accolades of the crowd.